Hi, Jeff Hicks with Realwired. Welcome to another Indispensable Appraisers podcast. Today we're going over one of my favorite topics, or tactical topics, is position statements. Often if you have an issue as a chief appraiser or if you own the appraisal firm, typically what you're talking about if you have issues, it's going to be typically associated with employees. Nothing wrong with people. People are great. I'm a people, you're a people. But when it comes to jobs, positions, expectations, this is where position statements can be an amazing game changer for your department and for your appraisal firm. So what is a position statement? It basically is a document that is signed by you as the employer and the employee. Ideally, you do it at the very beginning during the interview process before you hire. It's an outline of what your expectations are. It's strategic, tactical, and it also spells out technical items that they may need to know. It's going to some soft skills. It's going to spell out their knowledge and experience, their responsibilities. It's also going to include standards, behaviors that they need for the position, and company-wide general standards and behaviors. Oftentimes, people are hired based on the position, just the title. You're going to be a job manager, you're going to be a reviewer, you're going to be a in-house appraiser, and there's an expectations of exactly what that employer expects you to do, and that's not the case. So even if you're let's say a chief appraiser and you're hiring a reviewer, yes, you expect them to review, but also you want them to adopt your culture. Well, what is your culture? We could talk about that on another pod. That's a big topic, but it's important that the person does fit within your culture. But when it comes to the position, yes, they need to review appraisals, but what makes an excellent review? What are your expectations? And a position statement is an excellent document to communicate what is the business outcome you expect as a chief appraiser to your reviewers. You may say, I'd like you to review it in a certain way, of a certain style. How do you want them to communicate with their outside vendor appraisers? Do you want just a stylization? There's different forms of reviews. You might want to clarify, what success looks like. Same thing if you own an appraisal firm, what do you expect your appraisers? Yes, you expect them to write appraisals. Yeah, I get that. But what specifically tasks should they be doing? That might include, yes, you're going to confirm your comps. That's pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised where some appraisers may think, I'll just grab what's in the database, which is, you should probably let them go. But spelling out what you think is obvious is not so obvious. And it's used in three different ways: for the hiring, and you can do it with existing customers, existing employees, and for an exit interview. It's the outline for the discussion. Because as you detail what should be done, again, getting back to if you're just an appraiser inside a company, do you expect me to use our software to be proficient with your report writing, your comp database? Maybe you have an appraisal workflow platform. So really spell out that, yes, you are responsible for using your technology. And if you don't, that is a problem. And that could be held. But again, the position statement, it's not, here's a job, go write appraisals. It's when you do quarterly reviews, semi-annual, whatever you do on the reviews, the position statement really sets out the business outcome. What do you want to happen with this reviewer, this appraiser, this job manager? What are you hoping for? And the employee likes position statements because it eliminates the confusion, wow, are they expecting me to do this? And let's say they do disagree. Let's say you have a long laundry list of 40 items you expect your employee to do. This is a good chance to go through side by side, sit with them and say, well, I expect this and this and this. And let's say they have a problem with a few items, you say, oh, let's talk about it. Why do you think that this task should not be the responsibility of insert position? It's a fantastic discussion points because on the front end, as you're hiring, you may learn a lot when they question maybe the volume of how many different tasks you require them to do. It may highlight their sophistication, their ability to understand what you want. The position and what you want you may be overboard. You may be asking way over the top, too many things, depending on the market and what you're asking for and what the pay level is. But you'll find that that balance between those two items. So when they do sign the document, you sign the document, they sign the document. This is not really a contract, but it's a mental contract. These are my expectations. And it's fantastic for reducing churn because, again, it's written right there. There's no mutual mystification. A position statement also is amazing when your employee comes to you a year later, 2 years later, and would like a raise. Great. Let's go back to the position statement. Let's look at what you're doing. This is what the position is. This is the items. This is what the pay level for that position. You would like to earn X amount or more. Let's talk about it. What do I need to add to the position statement to get you to where you want to go? It's a fantastic avenue. And then it may require some additional education, yada, yada. But the point is, there's not this, well, you've been with us for 5 years, I guess I'll give you a raise. Well, if the position pays from here to here, just because they've been doing it for a long time doesn't mean that they necessarily get a raise. So longevity doesn't result in pay increases. It really is, can you provide additional value to the bank, to your appraisal department, to your appraisal firm? And those typically require additional skill sets that you may not be bringing to the table. So the position statement is a fantastic way for the employee to go, oh, okay, I see these are the new items I need to learn how to do, to bring to the table to increase my salary or commission from here to here. Though the position statements aren't typically used this way, you might consider as a chief appraiser to use the concept of a PS, position statement, for your vendors, your fee appraisers. Yes, you have engagement letters, and you're probably in some instances frustrated that you feel that appraisers don't read the engagement letter. On the other hand, the reason they may not is because the format of your engagement letters may be lengthy. There may be boilerplate mixed in with specific requirements that you really are important to you, but they're mixed in with pages and pages of boilerplate. And as a fee appraiser, if you're doing work for a dozen or two dozen banks, you might have 20 some different engagement letters, and you have to go hunting for the specific requirements beyond what you typically provide. So you might take the position statement concept as a chief appraiser and just spell out specifically what you're not getting in your appraisals. You may highlight, and you can put it in your engagement letter, obviously, but you could also send just an email to your vendors and say, hey, here are the things that, we'll put in the engagement letter, but here are the highlights of these top 3, 4, 5 things that I'm not currently getting. And it may be things like, we would like 3 discussions with brokers in every appraisal. Or maybe we need this kind of detail when it comes to office buildings, right? You can get very, very granular. But I think if you clarify, again, what you expect of your employees, your fee appraisers, whoever it is, it's pretty interesting when you really spell it out and keep it super simple. So that might be a recommendation to improve your engagement letters. That's another pod, but I do think as appraisers, they do just kind of glance at the engagement letter. They look for different things like insurable value, and they just go on their way. So what you might consider in an engagement letter from a position statement framework mindset is at the very top, just put the bullet points of what things that you're not getting. What's typically being kicked back by a review? And again, it's usually the easy stuff, insurable value. It could be, again, not talking to market participants. Whatever it is, spell it out, make it simple, put it at the top. Simple is powerful. And being expectations of clarity is great. If you keep it broad and say we want a lot of support for the cap rate selection, that doesn't mean anything. Be specific. We want band of investment, debt coverage ratio, market extracted cap rates, market survey, all the above. Be very, very specific. And again, your fee appraisers may disagree with you. You may have that conversation of, well, why don't you think this is appropriate? And it may be good feedback as to what are you currently getting as a chief appraiser, and as a fee appraiser, what are you currently giving? Because let's face it, both sides, the fee appraiser doesn't like to get that review back. And a lot of it comes from a position statement style clarity of, yes, here's my 90, 110 pages of valuation. Why am I getting questions back? It could be 2 or 3 specific things that a chief appraiser or their reviewers at the bank really, really care about. It might be something as simple as you don't have remaining economic life in your appraisal, right? It's usually not big stuff, but again, that clarity as to expectations, the business outcome is, it's kind of liberating, right? Because then as a chief appraiser sending it out to the vendors and as the fee appraisers, you'll increase the confidence of, okay, I just sent that report. I know I'm not going to get any feedback on this. I know I checked the box of the top 2, 3, 10, whatever the things are that are important to that client. I know that I've done that. You don't necessarily have to sign. I mean, we have an engagement letter. That's what the appraiser signs. But I'm thinking that little twist of really zooming in on the items that are important to you, you'll notice a change. So from this podcast, you might go back and change your engagement letters. That's great, but that's not really what I'm talking about, but that would be fine. Really that the position statements work for new employees. It works for existing employees. Just because you hired somebody 5 years ago, it doesn't mean you can put a position statement in front of them. If you get the feedback of, whoa, I've been here for 5 years, why am I now getting this document like I'm just being hired? That might be an attitude problem, which fits back to your culture. If they're a good employee, if they're an A player, they should be happy to go through the list with you, check it off. I agree with this. These are all great. Maybe I have an issue with this, talk about it, maybe an opportunity to change some of the tasks, maybe add some more, maybe change it up a little bit. And at the end, they sign it, you sign it. And lastly, if it doesn't work out and you need to take the emotion out of the discussion of letting somebody go, position statement is fantastic. You could say, hey, I gave you 60 days ago, I asked you about these items that you weren't doing. It's been 60 days. Let's take another look. You're still not doing those items I mentioned. Maybe my bank or my firm is not for you. So there's no shock to the employee. They know exactly what they should be doing. You spelled it out. They signed it. You signed it. So that's it. Just wanted to share that for the pod. Position statements are your friend. It frees up a lot of the human capital stress when it comes to managing people. And I think it works both ways. I think employees like it because it's like, oh, I can see what my position is. I know exactly what I need to do. And if I want to get a raise and commission or salary, oh, I just need to go back to the position statement and have a discussion of what skills do I need to bring to the table to get to the next level. Well, that's it for the pod, guys. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.